On today's show, this would be the craziest day in Dallas Mavericks history if we had any feelings left, but we don't. AD trade. Back on.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
I think that's a good question.
Good morning, Isaac. All these changes, I still got my dog, Dwight Powell.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like that.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen to the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 5 to 6:30 Central Time. And joining me, as always, my co-host, the media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years, right alongside me, the wishy-washy wonder, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Well, since there were no news today, I was going to talk about Kingston Fleming's, LeBaron Philon. And if you saw the Fleming's game against Texas Tech, that fourth quarter, or that takeover, what he was doing was...
You're not on Twitter today?
Oh. Was there not anything else? I dropped a draft pod today because there was nothing else. Literally the worst timing ever. I mean, people are not in draft mode right now anyway, but I am. And I dropped this thing on guard prospects talking about Michael Brown and like 14 minutes later is the Shams notification. I'm like, well, screw that. I just did this for nothing. No one's going to watch this.
It has over 1,000 views.
Whatever.
Yeah, right after that, Anthony Davis, the report came out that Shams said he's going to need surgery. Anthony Davis says lies. And then now the report we know coming from the Mavericks and Shams says he is going to have surgery. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the trade landscape and market being back open for him. We'll also want to talk about Rich Paul's comments about the Mavs getting hit by traffic and like by not trading him. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's start here. So I keep doing this. It feels like I'm doing like an episode of a serial TV show or something like that. When last we saw Anthony Davis in the reports and the rumors, Shams Charania had reported that he was going to get surgery, and then Anthony Davis replied to everybody that he could that was saying that he was going to be out for the season. That says no, lies. Don't believe the things that you see reported. Don't believe the stuff you see on this app. Then Mark Stein
he needed to drop an elf meme though. You sit
on a throne of lies. And then we had the Mark Stein report that said that he was going to be that there's optimism Anthony Davis could return some point in March, even if he is forced to undergo surgery on his left hand. So he kind of even pulled it back, said, hey, he's not even sure if he's going to have surgery. He may come back. Then now we have this report from Shams, and then the Mavericks dropped their report and their actual injury update press release that said, Dallas Mavericks forward center Anthony Davis met with his physician today and underwent a medical evaluation of his left hand. He does not require surgery and is expected to heal from the injury in approximately 6 weeks. The team will continue to monitor his progress and provide updates as appropriate. Have you seen the Muppet Christmas Carol where at the end they're like trying to figure out, like Gonzo goes, and Tiny Tim, who did not die at the end of the movie, feels like that kind of moment. Anthony Davis, who will not require surgery. And so now this opens up a lot for the Dallas Mavericks because a trade could still be back on. Shams had that report earlier where he said, fascinating development. The Mavs are still seeking trade offers and are still talking to teams about Anthony Davis. He's going to come back. He's expected to come back this season now. And him not having surgery opens the doors back up. I thought maybe we had closed this, and now it is no longer closed.
Yeah, first I just want to say I'm fatigued by it. I'm just so tired of the story. Like, can we be done with it?
We're not going to be. It's going to keep going until either they trade him or he gets shut down for the season. That's literally the only two options, because other than that, it's going to keep going.
And I just want to remind people, this is part of the Anthony Davis experience. Like, I mean, this is part of it. This is part of the clutch experience too. Like, it's going to, I mean, I think this is a Mavs clutch thing that's happening behind the scenes right now. I think it's, this day is, I mean, it's a crazy thing. Like, I feel like we're kind of numb to it because of everything we went through as Mavs fans over the last, 12 months. But like, if any other team had this as their superstar player, $50+ million player that is like in the same day, that's like surgery, out for the year for the team. He's on Twitter saying lies. then it's like, well, wait, is he having? And then the team releases, and then Shams is like, well, renewed trade interest. And it's just like, whoa. And then it's like capped off at the end of the night. I was telling you before, I texted somebody in the Mavs front office and was like, hey, is there any update on AD, like surgery, no surgery? I'm talking on the show tonight. I want to have something. And it was basically the Mavs are going to release something in, an official thing and very soon. And, or when they're ready. And, then it came out very soon of like, hey, the Mavs, and even the wording in that press release was like, and after 6 weeks, expect expectations for him to be healed in 6 weeks.
And is expected to heal from the injury, not expected to be healed, like expected to heal. Like he's like, it's
be
Wolverine
healed.
It's Wolverine and he's got some kind of like timeline where the adamantium works. But usually like the report is he'll be reevaluated. They're saying no, like he is going to heal. This wording I think is very specific. We're big on this. We like to read between lines and read between words on how things are worded, especially reports, but PR statements as well, because the reason why he didn't give you that, like the person in the front office didn't give you that statement, is because they were still workshopping it probably to try and figure out exactly what they wanted to say so that other teams could read it and be like, well, they expect him to be back and to be healed. Like he's expected to come back at a certain point. So I guess we can still talk about a trade for him.
Almost all of those press releases are always reevaluated in blank amount of time. And I don't know, even off the top of my head, I don't know if I've ever seen one outside of like an extreme injury of like an ACL or something like that. He's expected to be fully healed for training camp next year. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen one like this that's like a 6 week time frame, like something that's not out for the year. That's like, he's expected to be fully healed within 6 weeks. That's like, hey, everybody around the league, he's going to be healed and ready to play.
Have you're a communications pastor. I'm sure you talk about this, like the positive language in things like this. Like you don't want to do like, he'll be reevaluated. That's not a positive word, right? That's a yield. Like that's a yellow, yield word. Healed from it is a green, right? That's not a red where he's like, we'll decide his future in 6 weeks, right? Like that's a completely different one if you wanted to do that.
Healed. No, I think it's it's a thing. It's clutch the Mavs right now. We'll talk about Rich Paul and his podcast and stuff too. But I think you can't make it this situation simple because it's kind of complicated. But the Mavs are not going forward of like winning this year. However you want to define tanking. We saw a lot of two-way players the other night. All three of them play minutes. All right. So the Mavs are prioritizing young, lose this year probably, build around Cooper Flagg. AD has this injury. They've probably communicated. This is just my opinion. They've probably communicated like, hey, surgery or not, you're not gonna be back this year. Like whether like you're gonna come back. Like, and for AD's camp and clutch, I think they're looking at it from the extension point of view of like, hey, like we need and want the extension. Therefore, we need him to play. Like he's not out for the year. Okay. They don't want surgery. And to what I think of like, they need him to get on the court and play basketball, preferably probably in the playoffs, to where then they could go in an extent, like, cause they have no leverage right now with an extension. They got to get him back on the court and playing. So I think that's where Anthony Davis is coming in on social media and was like, hey, this is lies. I'm not out for the whole year. Don't put this out there type of thing. And that's where, you start seeing it shift throughout the day to where, okay, well, now he's not having surgery. That's the thing I don't really understand is how the surgery thing got mixed up. I get the out for the year. Okay, he's not going to be out for the year. AD's like, no, don't say that. I'm coming back. But I thought the surgery thing was weird of like early in the morning, he's having surgery, then he's not having surgery. And I was like, all right, that's weird. But I thought it was very telling that Shams said his Dallas season is over in that tweet. And because I think it's probably likely that we've seen Anthony Davis's last game in the Mavs jersey. In my opinion, I think he's going to get traded before the deadline.
So coming up, let's talk about the trade. We haven't talked about a potential Anthony Davis trade or any kind of like machinations of what a trade would look like.
It's crazy.
We haven't talked about any of the rumors or anything like that. So let's talk about the trade. The trade is back on. Let's talk about that. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. I feel like I'm just getting hit by all kinds of, we've done this before, deja vu over and over again. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. So check this out on Fridays between 5 and 6:30 Central Time. You can go to FanDuel and see what is available. They got all kinds of stuff for the NFL that you can do, but the NBA stuff, if I'm checking out some games, you can go check out, to win the, let's see, Western Conference. Thunder minus 145, Nuggets plus 490, which is interesting. Rockets, the next team after that, plus 800, Spurs plus 800 to win the Western Conference. So there's all kinds of other stuff you can check out too on there, but you'll want to do it during Happy Hour Fridays from 5 to 6:30 Central Time to become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour. They always bring something new, bonuses, boosts, surprises, things like that. So before tip off, check out the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday, and a little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Also brought to you by Wayfair. Wayfair, lots of the furniture in my house is Wayfair. And the new year is here. It's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your spaces. If you're spending more time at home, which a lot of us are, things are so expensive out there, but you can get stuff that's not as expensive shipped right to your home. I got my stuff from Wayfair shipped right to me. I didn't have to worry about trying to figure out if it's going to fit in my car. Didn't have to worry about shipping fees because I got it shipped for free, which is awesome. I love that the pieces are exactly what I wanted. It shows all kinds of dimensions too. Like it maps it all out, and there's different images on each different piece of furniture that shows you how big each one of them is, so I can measure and figure out if that's going to fit and all that stuff. So check out Wayfair, get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now and shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with Unlocked on Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening every day. We appreciate you for checking out the show. 2 ways you can help support the show. The Everydayer Club, subscribe to that, $5 a month, and you can get ad-free episodes of this show. And you also get access to our Discord. The chats were popping off today, talking about all the different things that were happening. And then also the text line. That's another one, $5 a month. We'll send you alerts and rumors and all kinds of stuff. We were sending all kinds of notes today about this as it was happening. You also get access to the Discord when you subscribe to that as well. All right, Isaac, let's get into the Anthony Davis saga. So they expect him to be healed and back. You think that he's gone, that a trade will absolutely happen. I'm still holding out that I think he could play for the Mavs again, because at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at this point, I think that the Mavs are still digging in their heels on a trade, and I think you're going to be upset if we hear what a trade could be, and they don't just go for the first one.
Yeah, I feel like for them to renew the interest and renew the trade talks with Anthony Davis, then it's, to me, that reads that they're willing to take less on a deal. Like if you're still going to hold true on the bar that you've set, which they have clearly set, not the bar that Bobby Marks would have set. Shout out to Bobby Marks, ESPN, who was on DLLS yesterday, and he was like, if he was running the Mavs, he would salary dump, Anthony Davis. And it's like, I'm with you, Bobby.
It's kind of what we said last week.
Yes, it's just it's more of what are the offers out there, and so that's why the renewed interest part for me, on top of, hey, he's not going to be out for the year, on top of he could have probably gotten surgery, but he's electing not to get surgery. Yeah. So he's going to come back in 6 weeks and play for a lottery team. That lottery team's not even going to want him to play, because when he plays for the Mavs, they win games. Dallas they're not trying to win games right now. All right. And they're not going to be for the rest of the season. They're going for the draft pick. So I think this is purely, hey, Rich Paul said on his podcast about the whole, there have been discussions that they obviously know about that they probably clearly thought was further down the table, and him talking about Dallas kind of being in that middle zone there of trying to decide if you're, and I think this is the way of hey, we're not going to get surgery. He's going to be back in 6 weeks. Get these trade talks back on the table type of thing. And I think if Dallas is going to trade him, I think they're going to be a little bit more realistic about it and say, hey, let's just be done with this and let's try to get some expiring contracts.
I hope that's the lesson they took from this injury scare and all that. Well, I guess it's not a scare. It is an injury, but I hope that's the lesson that they took. I mean,
So you think he could come back and play this year, or are you talking about next year?
I think he could. I wouldn't put,
This year.
because at this point I wouldn't put anything past anybody at this point
Okay.
for him to come back and play, because we've still heard the report from Dumont that he wants to see the AD Kyrie Flagg trio.
Yeah.
Is that just posturing, or
That's a great thing for the other teams to know. Yeah.
or will they actually do it? I don't know. Did you see the Hawks injury report today?
I did. Yeah, I did. I haven't watched them in a week or so I don't know how legit those injuries are and stuff.
The Luke Kennard is out with a neck sprain. That was an actual injury. Porzingis out with left Achilles tendonitis. Zachary Richie out with left knee bone contusion.
Yeah, that one's interesting. I would be shocked right now if they pulled off a trade with Atlanta and got Richie in the deal. Like, I think Dallas is talking with teams out there. And I think this is the angle too that I thought was fascinating, that I think Bobby Marks said on ESPN. I think I saw someone else, the Sam Quinn guy, he had this idea on CBS a few days ago. And it was, I think it's a good idea and something to think about. It's kind of like the pre-free agency type of teams. It's the Wizards going after Trae Young. It's the Raptors going after Brandon Ingram back, I guess, was it last year? Yeah. What are the teams out there that's like, hey, we want to be good next year, but we're willing to go get Anthony Davis like right now, and we're still going to be bad for the rest of the year, but with the intention of like you look at a team like Brooklyn. Brooklyn wants to be bad right now. They want to keep their pick and all of that. But next year, they have a pick swap with Houston. So they don't really have an incentive to be bad again. If they finally want to try to get out of it, like, they have $15 million in cap space. So you could literally do just like Claxton and Terrence Mann for AD straight up. And they just set him and they're like, hey, like, we have AD next year. Like, it's teams like that, or like the Charlottes of.
Could they do the Ja thing too, and then just get both of them, and that's their?
But the tricky part about that is I still don't think that's the route that, because you could talk about like the Hornets or like the Bulls are a popular team with that of like, hey, they kind of suck this year. They had the expiring contracts, but they're not really like going up in the standings right now. I still don't think these are teams that like Clutch and AD. I don't think they're opting out of surgery and coming back in 6 weeks to try to play a final month with the Charlotte Hornets. I think they're doing this with the idea. I think everybody's doing this with the idea that he's going to be an Atlanta Hawk or a Toronto Raptor or a Los Angeles Clipper. Even like a team like, I know Houston won tonight, but does Houston get desperate enough to where they're like, dude, we're losing. We're not excited about where we're going. And it's like VanVleet, Steven Adams, and Dorian. And it's like, all right, we'll pair AD with, Şengün and KD, and we keep all of our young guys, and we'll give you a pick with those like older guys. I don't know. Like, that's the type of stuff. Like, I don't think the AD trade talk is dead. In fact, what happened today, I think it makes it more likely that AD's gone before the deadline.
The whiplash. It's the whiplash for me of the, well, he's gone. Well, he's done for the season. Well, he's back.
I just want to be done, man. Like, and some of you guys are so tired of us talking about it in the comments or like online, and us and other Mavs people. It's like, dude, can y'all just? This is the experience. Like, we talk about the Mavs every single day. There's new news all the time. Yeah, and there's drama.
Like we haven't just like rehashed the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, it's new stuff you're talking about every time. And you look at like Clutch, and I wrote this in my notes. I was like, so you really want to do this with Clutch? Like, if you want to keep this going, like, this is a type of stuff. And once again, I don't really blame them, because they want to get somewhere that's going to get their client paid. And if there's a team that's willing to pay them long term, go get your money. But it's like, this is so so dumb. It's so old. Like, can we just be done with this? I don't want to go into summer and deal with this crap. Can we go into the summer with like focusing on the draft and having fun with that? And it's just like, oh, okay. And then Clutch doing this, and then AD is this. Okay. Well, and then we're just doing this whole back and forth crap again. Just be done with it.
Coming up, Rich Paul has his podcast, and he's saying things. And one of the things he said was the Mavs missed their window on an Anthony Davis trade. Do we agree with him? We'll talk about that more. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough, like finding a trade for Anthony Davis. You want someone in network nearby with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, helps you walk out feeling confident in your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists. It's so easy to find them with ZocDoc. It's a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I've looked through a bunch of different kinds of things. You look through your insurance, the website that they give you, and it's like, all right, here are all the doctors, and some of them, the numbers don't even work. They don't have availabilities next to them. You have to call and try and figure out their office. Then you have to Google and do something else completely different. Gotta love that ZocDoc, you can search for specialty or symptoms. You can do in-person visits or video visits, and they have real-time availability, meaning you could book instantly on their page. No phone tag, no trying to figure out if this was a real doctor's office, if they're out of business or anything like that. If you need to book care fast, check out ZocDoc. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac. Rich Paul has his podcast with Max Kellerman, and he's been saying some things. Things have been going viral. He suggested that the Lakers should trade Austin Reeves to go get Jaren Jackson Jr. today. I don't know that Austin Reeves' agent is going to be very happy about that thing. That is a weird thing, but he did talk about the Anthony Davis trade scenario and trade thing, and I came away after listening to him and was like, I'm not exactly sure how, but he is going to try and push this trade through as much as possible. He said this.
Yes.
Do you think when you have that trade speculation out there, you have to make your mind up? Because sometimes when you play in traffic, you get hit by a car. If you plan on trading somebody, there's a time. It's almost a gamesmanship to it. You're trying to go a little longer to see the most you can get out of somebody. When you do that, you run a risk. There's a world that you can come out of this draft with a great pick. That following year, saying, wait a minute, we got these two young guys on rookie contracts that are good. You have Kyrie, AD, two top 15 players. It's not totally negative. He's trying to paint a picture of some of the sentiment I see from you listening. Some of you are still like, well, what if you get the top pick and Kyrie and AD are healthy next year and blah, blah, blah. When is it going to happen? When is that going to happen? I don't know. But do you agree with the sentiment that he said in the first part where he said they spent too long, they played in traffic, they got hit by a car when it came to this injury?
Yeah, because it feels like, it went on record where it's public that they've pushed behind the scenes. They want him to be in a place that will give him an extension.
Yes.
And so that's like the nicest way possible of like a trade request in a way, or pick a direction or pay him and keep him here. And that's when you get the second half of that with Clutch, or with what Rich said, him and AD and the 2 draft picks and all this stuff. But what it seems like the Mavs have made clear to him and the camp is like, hey, he's not part of the future. We're not going to give him a contract extension. So therefore they want somewhere to give an extension. And he's been involved in these negotiations. So there's probably been multiple times throughout this that he has probably felt that there has been reasonable offers on the deal to get his client AD to a team that they want, let's say like in Atlanta. And the Mavs might have even said like, hey, yeah, we like this deal. But then something is holding the Mavs back too, of saying, all right, well, let's wait and see if we can get that extra thing on top of that. Let's wait and see if they give in on a Risa Shea or another first
the Pelicans pick that was rumored.
Yes. So I think that's what he's saying of like, hey, there's been an offer to like on this table, but like they've chosen to like wait for better things or to see what all they could get. And then bam, this is when you get hit in traffic and AD has the injury. And now you might not even get what you were trying to get before. Maybe. I don't know. And so
honestly though, the other side of this is Nico avoided playing in traffic at all. Nico just went to the side of the street and just called one opinion and traded Luka before there was even mention of it anywhere, and then got completely killed because the return on the trade was completely not acceptable, was awful, set the franchise back decades, probably. The
pro Nico crowd.
The flag thing doesn't count.
Yeah, tough few months for you, man.
Set the franchise back a decade, and so he didn't play in traffic at all. And so, but the Mavericks, if they weren't going to give Luka the Supermax contract that we had heard, from a couple times, that if they weren't going to do that, then this was going to happen. Almost this exact same thing. Where it's like, all right, now you've decided to trade a guy. If you're not going to give him the Supermax, you're not going to give him the max extension, then he wants to go get it somewhere else. And so then this would happen where now you're trying to figure out a trade for him. And the Mavs avoided that by doing the worst trade in sports history. And now they're trying to do this. Now they're trying to do the opposite of that. Like this front office that was under Nico, all these people were still under Nico, right? He's the only one that's been fired. They're all trying to learn from that mistake, and then they hung on to it just a little too long.
Something else to think about too, which isn't it doesn't mean everything, but Riccardi worked with Bobby Marks too in the front office up in Brooklyn. So I would go out on a wild limb and say there's probably at least some type of conversation going of like, hey, like some type of advice, at least I would, if there's still good relationships and stuff there. But that's why I'm not closing the door on the AD trade. Cause I could see some of these teams like the Hawks, like if you're willing to be done with the AD business, there's still teams out there that have expiring contracts. Like we've been saying the three things the whole time, that if you could get those three things, it might come down to just one thing at this point. And some of you are like, hey, I would rather hold on to him instead of just getting expiring contracts. But you look at the Hawks and it's like you got Kennard and KP. You look at the Clippers, who I think is still a stealth team in this. They're not getting mentioned a ton, but it just wouldn't shock me if next week we're like Clippers and Mavs are in intense talks on, because they have the Collins expiring at 26. They had the Bogdanovich expiring because it's basically expiring because there's non-guaranteed for next year. Yeah. They have a way. I mean, you can even put Brook Lopez in that, and it's all expiring contracts at like $50 million, somewhere through there. So, AD, Harden, and Kawhi in LA would be hilarious.
This is not Paul George anymore. That would have been like the all hospital team.
Yeah. So if it's like expirings, that's you still got something like that. I think Boston would probably be a little harder, Simons and other stuff. The Toronto thing is still there. But if you do the Toronto route, if they make the play for AD again, and somebody might be saying, hey, why would the team still trade for Anthony Davis? He's still going to, it's still 6 weeks. It's still after the trade deadline. I mean, if you're a playoff team, you look at some of these teams like Toronto, the Clippers are trying, but you look at like a Toronto, Atlanta, something like that. Like it's just a couple weeks past the trade deadline, and then he's healed and he's back playing in theory. So, yeah, I just wouldn't. I would still put. I want to say put money. I would still bet on the Hawks as they work out something with the Hawks in the coming weeks. But I wouldn't count out Toronto either because, and I just want to say this too. I don't think RJ Barrett is that bad of a contract, and I don't think he's that bad of a player. So
this is another big difference between you and Slightly, is that he does not want that at all. He thinks RJ Barrett is bad, and you are pro RJ Barrett. I think he's fine. I'm not. I don't want to sit here and say I'm planting the flag on RJ Barrett Island, saying like you just did though. You said it's.
I don't think he's that bad. I don't think it's like if you're telling me the Poeltl contract is just horrendous.
That one's awful.
I mean, just absolutely horrible. If there was a way to where it was like RJ and like if you had to take back the contract of RJ Barrett, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I mean, honestly, look at Toronto's winning percentage with him this year.
What if you took back Poeltl and you got another first round pick in it? The price.
I mean, that's the deal. I mean, that I feels like that's the type of deal, right? It's like RJ. I've seen Quickly thrown out there with RJ, but if Quickly's in the deal, they don't really have any other point guards.
None. They have a worse guard situation than the Mavs then.
So it feels like it's like RJ and Poeltl. If it's RJ, Poeltl, and a pick.
If it's 2 firsts.
Well, 2 firsts, yeah, for sure.
With Poeltl?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Poeltl at least play. I mean, he's not playing right now, but like he doesn't have the decorated injury history like AD does. So
yeah,
that's
right now he's dealing with back stuff.
Yeah, back stuff. But yeah, I mean, I still think it's the Hawks. I would not count out the Clippers. Is there a weird Suns
the
deal in there?
Games played is not great.
It's not too far off from AD. Uh-oh.
Last year 57. Year before that 50. Year before that 46. Year before that, or no, 72 the year before that, then 68, 69, 66. So it's just been the last 3 years basically. It's 50, 57, and 21.
Interesting.
Out of the 38 or whatever.
It has been funny seeing some people like throw the hypothetical Chicago back out there, and I was like, dude, if we come full circle and now Chicago actually, that was the number one team. We were like, oh, that's the team I would watch for. But if you like, the reasoning for Chicago is like, if they don't land something else, and it's like they're looking at it and they're like, all right, we definitely want to be good next year. Why not? Like, let's just trade Vooch and Zach Collins, and could you throw Kobe White in that deal? And they're all expiring contracts, and you're like, all right, we'll have AD for next year. I don't know.
You're looking at the teams on the fringe, like, all right, we have no shot to be have any upward mobility. But this is a chance. If we take this chance, is it maybe a 33% chance that Anthony Davis works out? But there's a 33% chance we look like geniuses if this works out, right?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, and that's why I still think today, after all today's fireworks, weird crap that happened, I think today increases the likelihood that this is like restarted back up, and that he's not having surgery and expected to come back fully healed in 6 weeks. I expect him to be. I think he'll be elsewhere before the deadline.
Yeah, to me, it further entrenches the Mavericks in the camp of we are trying everything we can to trade AD, right? Like this stuff wouldn't come out, and maybe in conjunction with Clutch, but the two parties are trying everything they can to trade him.
Can you imagine a scenario, which I know you can because it's the Mavs? Can you imagine a scenario, we're late enough in the show to say this, that 6 weeks happens, the Mavs are losing the games and stuff, and they're 8th or 9th best odds in the West. He comes back in 6 weeks, and they're like, oh, we're going to play him.
Yes, I can imagine. I said that.
And then two things happens. They play him, and either one, they start winning a few games and they move down to like 13 or 14 in the draft, or two, he comes back and plays and has like a bigger injury, and it's just like, what?
Just like a even more exaggerated version of what we just went through.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I don't think we see him in a jersey for the Mavs again this year at all. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I think it's gone before the deadline. So,
so close. Anthony Davis, Dante Exum to the Bucks. Miles Turner, Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Harris.
Wait, is this something that just happened?
No.
Oh, you start reading that off. I was like, what the crap?
Well, we'll see. I think it's only $74,000 off.
Wow.
Not exactly expiring, but
I mean, maybe we'll do another. We haven't talked about AD trade stuff in a while, so maybe we'll do more pods about it whenever it happens.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Tomorrow we'll have more Mavs play the Nuggets. We'll have a post game after that. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Go listen to my draft pod, guys, please. Peace out.
Boom.